Hi, Little Brothers community, and thanks for tuning in. This is Kelly. I'm a nurse and current intern with Little Brothers, and I'm here today with Tabitha Ledbetter, who is the social worker on staff and who comes with a breadth of experience as a professional social worker. Tabitha, I was hoping you could share a bit about yourself and your role, as well as some of the ways you help support our elders in the organization. You know, it's crazy to think that less than a month ago, I had no idea there was a social worker on staff, and I'm sure some other volunteers feel the same way. So if you don't mind taking just a brief minute to say hello to our guests.
Sure thing. I am a relatively new staff. I've been here a few months, but Little Brothers has had a social worker on staff for probably about 10 years, just seeing that need. My main role here is to be a resource to the staff, the volunteers, the elders. If anything comes up, it could be simple things such as needing help with rent, needing help with working through grief or depression, or being connected to other resources as you see fit. And so I step in here and there. I have a couple elders that I talk to regularly, but for the most part, I'm just here as needed to help provide support. One more thing I wanted to mention was that the mental health of our elders has been a high concern to Little Brothers as an organization. When COVID started, we were noticing that the elders were discussing and sharing their feelings of sadness, fear, frustration, and so we actually came up with a mental health counseling initiative. It's a way that we screen the elders for any signs or symptoms of depression or anxiety, and then we will provide referrals or resources as needed to link those elders to counseling outside of Little Brothers. Or it could be that it's the time to make a referral to the social worker, to me, for additional support. Or we could link them to a volunteer, such as you, who would help to just provide a little bit more friendship and connection that may reduce those feelings just simply by having an extra person to talk with.
I think that's really helpful to hear, and even though, for example, myself as a volunteer, I wouldn't speak with you directly, Tabitha, I think it's good to know behind the scenes what she's doing and why it's so important as a volunteer that if we have any concerns about an elder, we bring that to the program coordinator, who can then reach out to Tabitha, who has experience with certain outreach. I'll add too, I was thrilled when Tabitha offered to join me for today's conversation, which is centered on mental health, a topic that can be very hard to discuss, but one that rightfully is gaining more attention in today's culture. And we realize that it's a pretty broad topic, so we'll share our two primary goals for today's conversation. One, which is to touch on stress, coping, and mental health, specifically as they relate to COVID and the current climate we're living in. And two, to share some wellness resources that you can use personally, with our community of elders, and with others in your life as you continue navigating through these times and into the future. As you begin thinking about your mood and energy level in this moment today, or maybe over the past several months, the question becomes, what can or even should I do next? And that's where Tabitha comes in to share some techniques for processing and coping that she's learned in her professional career. But before we get into this, we want to share a statistic, which is in May of 2020, the U.S. Census Bureau released data revealing that 1/3 of Americans reported showing signs of clinical anxiety or depression. The data was based on a survey conducted in a 1-week period that drew 42,000 respondents. Once again, 1/3 of Americans have been feeling anxiety or depression. All this is to say, it's okay to not be okay. It's also okay to have moments of happiness, even amid stress. And it's essential that we start by being honest with ourselves and allowing ourselves to feel. Another quote I heard in a WBUR podcast is worth sharing here, and it is something that Molly Colvin stated, a clinical neuropsychologist, when talking about this idea of brain fog that a lot of us feel. She said, many of us are coping with losses and missed experiences. Emotions like fear, grief, and sadness may visit. Making time and space for these emotions is an act of profound kindness and compassion toward ourselves and others. I think this is actually the perfect segue into our next point of discussion. And Tabitha, I was hoping you could share some tidbits of wisdom with us about stress management, coping, and seeking support. And she put together a wonderful resource guide that we'll touch on in a little bit as well.
Definitely. So I think that the key nowadays, especially as we're going through COVID and learning a new norm or a new way of coping through this tremendous stressor that we're living through, is to learn some new healthy daily routines as much as possible. So I think that making sure that we're going to bed same time, trying to get up at the same time, making sure to take care of ourselves, take care of our hygiene, eat regularly, eat nutritiously as much as you can, making sure to get out and exercise, even if it's just a walk around the block or dancing around your home or doing some yoga in your living room.
And I have to interject for a second because the nurse in me is thinking back to school and how you really learn about the physiologic benefits of exercise, that your body is releasing these natural endorphins and that helps with mood regulation. And I tend to be the kind of person that when I'm stressed, the last thing I want to do is move my body.
Yeah, definitely. I've experienced the same thing, but I know that the days that I go for a walk or that I take time to stretch or do yoga or do anything, it's almost an immediate release of any maybe frustration or anger, certainly anxiety. I know putting your body in motion definitely helps with the anxiety. It's kind of just a natural way of your body being able to release those endorphins or those feelings that you're having. So I think that that's kind of where it starts, is being able to do good to your body, which then will a lot of times in turn do good to your mental status. Also, during this time, just making sure to maintain the routine as we talked about, doing meaningful things with your time.
Absolutely. Whether it's watching some new movies or trying out biking or something that's a little less normal for you but helps you to reset, I think is huge. Cooking is a fun one. I've seen so many videos out there, and food definitely brings people together, even virtually.
I know if maybe you're experiencing some sadness or some depression, I think that it's very easy to get stuck. If you're feeling unmotivated to get up, to do anything, it can be very hard to start any new projects. So I've often encouraged my clients, myself, other people along the way to maybe create a list that you can kind of work off of, things that you know work to help you feel better, whether it is cooking, gardening, doing a craft, doing whatever it is that you enjoy. Maybe making a list. Sometimes I like to pull it out of a hat, that if it's something that I can't come up with right away, that I can have an easy access place to pull those activities and say, maybe today I will work in my garden, and that'll help me, because I know that in the past it's helped me get through sadness, anxiety, frustration.
I'm curious what your thoughts are. The idea of even doing that with an elder. I think about an elder that I spoke with just a couple weeks ago, and she said, Kelly, I just don't like my life right now. And I think a lot of elders are feeling this sense of loneliness and not really sure what to do with their time. And here we are as a volunteer coping with our own stuff, and we're not able to be there with them in person. Perhaps you've done a slice of summer visit or you're going to do a birthday visit, but it's still not the same as spending hours with somebody in person. So how can we help our elders to cope with and think about ways that they can develop a daily routine that is a little bit more satisfying? And I think there are little things, even if you don't have a lot in life and you're not going on vacations, there's little things around the home that you can do to find meaning. So this one elder I know decided, I'm going to put aside a little money. I haven't knit in forever, and I think I'm going to order some spools of yarn. And I totally encouraged it, because that's exactly what this time is all about, is reconnecting with maybe even things that we used to do or love that we now have a little more time for. Even if they're alone, it's still something that you can find some joy doing. So thanks. Next up, I would love, Tabitha, if you shared a couple techniques for relaxation and grounding. I think about how this idea of meditation has gained considerable attention in recent years, but for me personally, it's a very challenging thing to wrap my mind around, and maybe I do it every so often, but it isn't something that has become a daily practice. And I think there's a lot of value in it that we often forget in moments where we're feeling tense or like we don't know what we can do in a situation that's so out of our control that could be helpful.
Definitely. I think that practicing relaxation can help your body just purposefully slow down, which then in turn will help your brain purposely slow down. So I think it helps to refocus on the present moment. So anxiety comes from worrying about what's to come. Depression a lot of times, or sadness, is from what's happened in the past that we kind of get stuck in. So mindfulness really helps us stay present. It stays present in the moment that right now I am seeing this, I am feeling this, I am hearing this, and it helps you zone into where you currently are, which might help reduce that anxiety, that sadness, that anger of whatever is going on. It could be the things that are outside of our control in the world. It could be the things that are outside of our control with our relationships. It helps us stay here and now, which does wonders. So I've worked with clients in the past who have benefited from doing what's called progressive relaxation, which is just going through all the different parts of your body and kind of just paying attention to that part of your body. So I always say you sit down for a few minutes and work through from the top of your head to your toes and tense and relax those muscles throughout your body and feel what it feels like to be in your body for that moment. So thinking about your ears and kind of like twitching them a little bit, thinking about your eyebrows and twitching them a little bit, your neck and tensing it a little bit, and just seeing if there's anything that's speaking to you, anything that's popping out that feels out of whack or that feels particularly tense, and just going the whole way through your body and listening to it, and then seeing how you feel at the end and seeing if there's anything you need to pay attention to, see if anything was released in your mind or in your body. I find that one to be particularly relaxing, and I know that it's been beneficial to those I've worked with in the past. Another great one is what we call the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It's a very great grounding technique. This one you just slow down, you take in the details of your surrounding, using each of your senses. So the 5-4-3-2-1 is, number one, what are the 5 things you can see? So right now I can see a table, a chair, a mask, a pencil, and a pen. What are 4 things you can feel? So again, you're just thinking, what can you feel? What are the 3 things you can hear? What are 2 things you can smell? What is 1 thing you can taste? So it really, again, just pulls you into this present moment of what you're experiencing. And I think the order of it doesn't really matter. You could do 5 things you taste, 4 things you feel, whatever it is. It's all about just being in the moment and helping you kind of stay there. There are other ones that are working great as well. Counting backwards from 100 by 7, so that really just puts your mind to work, which I think helps you not think about anything else. You're thinking about those numbers. You can read something backwards, letter by letter, which I know sounds a little strange, but it really, again, just kind of makes your brain focus on something different besides what you might be experiencing. I'm using imagery. Again, find like a new place in your mind that has helped you relax in the past. So that could be going back to a beach that you once were at. It could be going back to your bed, which is really comfortable and warm. It could be someplace you've never been that you want to go to, laying in a field of flowers, and just laying in that spot, sitting in that spot, and taking in all the surroundings. Just helps you use all your senses, use your brain, and to really just be in that moment.
I even love the idea of using that in a slightly different way. If you're on a phone call with someone who seems a little bit distressed, or you're sort of at a loss of where to take a conversation, and saying, hey, I really wish right now I could be on a beach. What's the most calming place that you've been that you would want to picture yourself right now? And that could even lead into a really nice conversation about a memory or happy times amidst maybe a rough day for you or the person you're talking to. So that's one that you can do individually, but also with others, which I think is really powerful. And all of these are worth sharing if you think they could benefit someone else. So thank you so much, Tabitha. Before we close off with a short deep breathing exercise, we want you to know that the email correspondence with this video that you're listening to has an attached summary page including a list of local and national helplines that Tabitha put together. These are phenomenal resources, and we want to stress that in situations where you or someone you care about, including an elder, seems overwhelmed by feelings of anxiety or depression, exhaustion, or is having thoughts of harming themselves or others, reaching out to a professional is the number one course of action. All of these might be hard to speak out about, and just remember that your role is to keep them safe, and in the long run, doing that and speaking up on behalf of that person, reaching out to Little Brother staff if it applies to an elder, is extremely important and something that every single staff member here would want. And so just from the volunteer perspective, since we know most of the folks listening to this are volunteers with Little Brothers, we wanted to stress that. So now, Tabitha, do you have anything to add, or would you mind? We'll have a little music starting up here in a second if you could walk us through a few deep breaths together.
But so you're going to sit comfortably. Place one hand on your abdomen. Breathe in through your nose deeply enough that the hand on your abdomen rises. Hold the air in your lungs and then exhale slowly through your mouth with the lips pucker as if you're blowing through a straw. The secret is to go slow. Time the inhalation. So let's give it a try. So you're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to continue on again. Inhale again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you would continue on for as much as feels good, as much as you want. So just listen to your body. If it wants to stop, it'll stop. If not, just continue on. Practice for a minute, 2, 3, 4 maybe.
Thank you so much, Tabitha. And thank you all for tuning in, for being therapeutic outlets to our elders, and most importantly, for being you. Stay well.